trends as a strategic tool, eco-friendly tech, and how heritage brands can appeal to Gen Z consumers. That and more on today's episode.
Want to know what's next? For over 2 decades, we've led the world's most influential brands to create the right products at the right time for tomorrow's consumer. This is WGSN's Client Questions Answered.
Hello and welcome to the show where our experts from around the globe share their insights on your biggest challenges. I'm Bethan Ryder, Executive Editorial Director at WGSN. So let's see what questions we have to unpack today. Our first question comes from a client asking, my company works with a late adopter consumer and they're hesitant to embrace new trends. So how can I overcome this barrier, especially in strategic planning? So giving us their take on the topic, from our Sao Paulo office is our WGSN Mindset LATAM consultant, Vitor.
To overcome the idea that trends are only applied to more disruptive business, it is important for the company to keep in mind that innovations are more and more decentralized, coming even from the low-income target. In Brazil, for example, we see several technologies initiatives that prove that the most disruptive market innovations are actually for the public with lower purchasing power. It is worth remembering that even the less aware consumer knows the most innovative players in other categories, which makes their expectation high in any category. To overcome internal culture barriers, it's possible to engage decision makers in processes such as workshops and co-creative sessions that make it possible to adapt trends in order to make sense with brand's DNA and vision of the future. Plus, it's always possible to start small with better innovation projects that help take the first step into the future.
Brilliant, thank you Vitor for that answer. You make a great point about never underestimating your consumers. Our next question comes from a client asking, is it possible to design a premium tech product that's also eco-friendly? And we're heading to Denver to hear from Reiko Morrison, and she's our head of CMF for consumer tech. So over to you, Reiko.
So premium tech products that are eco-friendly use colors that are inspired by nature or derived directly from the materials whenever possible. Secondary decoration processes like painting should be kept to a minimum. That doesn't mean metallic paints are out of the question, because metallics definitely help raise the perceived value. But the mica used in these solvent-free or water-based paints should be responsibly sourced. It's also very important to make material and finish selections that will convey the elevated qualities for this premium tier, like recyclable aluminum and plastics derived from carbon dioxide and oceanic microorganisms. Many of the major material suppliers today have developed a lot of wonderful eco-friendly materials that will appeal to the consumers driven by a passion for eco-positivity. For WGSN's consumer tech, we call this group the inspired minimalists, who are consumers that value sustainable living and zero waste. So the CMF for products targeted to this group should reflect these values.
Some really great insights there. And we touch upon material reinvention in particular for consumer tech in our white paper, which you can check out at wgsn.com. And on to our final question for today, and this comes from a client asking, brands with a strong sense of heritage are less likely to invest in digital. So how can heritage brands appeal to the digitally savvy Gen Z consumer through tech? I'm going to hand over to Adrian Mollett, who's our lead consultant for WGSN Mindset, and he's based over in Hong Kong.
That is a very common challenge. So here are 3 recommendations for brands willing to explore digital premiumness. First, trial, test, and invent. Inertia is your biggest threat. There are loads of untapped opportunities, from authenticity tracking to metaverse-based experiences, that will allow you to engage with younger generations in new light. Then we have storytelling, that will allow your brand to own the digital narrative. Don't see tech in contrast with tradition, but as a new way to showcase patrimony and grow your brand fan base. And finally, know your consumers. It's so easy to assume that digital transformation will damage your brand image. But usually through data and primary research, we help brands to get an in-depth understanding of what digital and technology means to their consumers. Your consumers are changing. Listen to them.
Some brilliant advice there. The APAC region is showing great success with the partnering of luxury and tech. So head over to wgsn.com where you can find out more about that. So that's it for this week. If you've got any questions or comments you'd like answered, please pop them in the comments box for our team. I'm Bethan Ryder, and I'll see you next time.